Hey guys, welcome back. Today's the day I'm going to be doing the Calamondin Orange Marmalade. Now I have them ready. I'm going to show you all the steps you need to make this marmalade. Now marmalades are different from jellies and jams. Marmalades are usually made with citrus fruit, and it includes the rind and the pulp and the juice. It's not just the fruit part. You throw it all in there once you cut it up. So I'm going to be showing you the steps, what you need to get ready for the marmalade. All right, I'm going to start by taking the oranges and picking off the leaves and stuff when I pulled them off my tree. Now, my oranges are not treated with anything. There's no pesticides. There's nothing on these. Now, I do use neem oil on the leaves and stuff when the plants need it, but otherwise, neem oil is organic. And this has nothing else on it, so my rinds and everything are safe to eat. I know they are because they came off my trees. But you can also get organic oranges. Calamondin oranges are not common. Yeah, you can use this recipe with regular oranges, and you would need to add some lemon juice in there. But these are very bitter and sour by themselves, and they'll do just fine. So I'm going to take all of these, take the tops off. I'm going to cut them in half and get the seeds out, and then squeeze all the juice out of these tiny little babies. Alright guys, so once I take off the tops, just cut it in half. Just taking it and squeezing them. They're so little and thin skin. All the seeds just pop straight out, and you're going to keep all the rinds and everything. You're not going to get rid of them. Just squeezing them. And just put them to the side and keep going. And getting all those little oranges in here. Squeeze their juice in here. Alright, here's the oranges. I'm almost done. See, just squeeze it in there. And then keep those because we're going to cut those up. But just keep going until you're done with your oranges. Alright, so I have about 1 1/4 cup of juice, but to try to strain out these seeds, because there's a lot of that volume was from seeds. So now I have about a cup, so there was a lot of seeds in there. I'm just going to let that sit and drain. Now I'm going to take all of these oranges. Now, I had probably about more than 40, around 40-ish oranges. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them. I'm going to flatten them out, okay, as much as I can. And then I'm going to cut them into thin slices, really thin slices. Let's see if I can show you. I know it's hard to see and it's dark in here, but I'm literally going to cut thin little slices out of all those oranges until I have a whole pile of them. And I'm going to do that to all of this, and then I'm going to take all this juice. I'm letting this filter out so I can get the seeds out, but we're going to combine it all in a pot, my trusty jam pot, but today it's marmalade. Here's all the skins chopped up into thin little strips. I have a cup of the Calamondin juice, okay? And then I have about a cup, 1 1/4 cup of water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump it all in here, okay? Because you need to measure the total amount that you have in here of this, because that's how much sugar you're going to have to put in. Equal amounts of sugar. So I have 5 cups. I have 5 cups of juice, peel, and some water. And I'm going to pour this in the pot and get it started heating, and then I'm going to get 5 cups of sugar out. Sorry it's so dark in here, guys. It's middle of winter. Dual pot. Okay. So I'm going to dump everything in here, get everything out of there, and get 5 cups of sugar. And we're going to let this cook down for a little bit. And I cut them thin. You don't want big strips. Thin strips. And I made sure there was no other seeds left in there. If there is, pick them out. Alright guys, it's starting to heat up. It smells great. Very citrusy. And I have right under 5 cups, because that's what this one was, right under 5 cups. And I'm going to stir the sugar in slowly and let it dissolve. And you're going to have to sit here and watch this and make sure it does not scorch. Okay, don't walk away, don't do anything else, stay here. Make sure this sugar gets stirred in all the way. Now I have about 5 half-pint jars in there. But I don't know how many I'm going to use with this, because some of the oranges were big, some were small. So I always put extra in there just in case, more than I think I'm going to use, because sometimes you never know. But remember, stir this, make sure it's incorporated all the way, keep it on a medium heat, and let it start heating up. Oh, it smells great. Have all the sugar incorporated, it's melted, it's starting to come up to a boil. Just turn it a little higher slowly and watch it. And I'm going to stir it for about 10 minutes and keep watching it until it comes to a boil. And then after that, we're going to see how long it takes to boil down to the gelling point. And that could vary, so I'm not going to give you a set time, but it's going to start to boil here soon. I can see the little bubbles. Make sure you have all your canning station stuff ready. I have my vinegar and water solution for the rims. I have my lids and bands, my tools that I'm going to dump hot water over here in a second. Oh yeah, see, there you go. It started to boil. When it starts to boil, start stirring this puppy around. Now you can put a pat of butter in here, which is about a tablespoon of butter. I'm not going to put butter in this. It's not necessary for the recipe, and my nephew can't have this if I put butter in it. I have some hot water going to sanitize everything, and I'm going to have my canning station moved over so I have more room to show you guys. But it started to boil, stirred it down. It's not ready, but I'm going to keep stirring it for 5 to 10 minutes. Remember to stir it. Don't let it burn. It smells amazing in here. It's been about 10 minutes just standing here and stirring it. You can see the peels are cooking down to nothing, but they were thin as it is when I first peeled them and cut them into strips. And it's getting there. It's not there yet. Remember the spoon test on whether it's to the gelling point. It's still pretty watery. When I do this, it's not sheeting off. Sheeting off a little bit right there. We want it to sheet off all the way, and it's not. It's still pretty thin, so we're going to let it cook a little bit longer, but not probably another 10 minutes or so. We'll probably end up reducing this volume by half of what I started with. As you can see, but they're cooking down nicely. Alright, I'm going to show you what I mean about it sheeting off the spoon, okay? In jams and marmalades, when you're not using pectin, you have to cook it longer to get it to the gelling point, okay? Or you can use a thermometer, but I don't usually do that. I just go by what it looks like, what it feels like, and then what it sheets off the spoon. Now, I'm going to show you. So this, see how it's coming off the spoon right here? See how it's thick and it's in the It's not wanting to let go. See how it's starting to come in multiple places? See how it's taking longer to come off the spoon? That's what I'm talking about. It's almost to the point. Getting ready to take this off, and I'm going to skim all of this foam off because I don't like the texture the foam gives, and I don't like how it looks in my jars, but it doesn't hurt nothing if you want to leave it in there. That's personal preference, but see? It's taking longer. It means it's getting thicker. So probably about 20 minutes in all of cooking once it started boiling. But you have to be diligent to sit here and stir it. And I'm getting ready to take this off. It should be ready. See? It's just, it takes longer, and you can tell it's getting thicker by the look of it. And also, if you take the back of the spoon, which is very hot, you can also wipe your finger through it, and it hasn't filled the gap, so it's getting thicker and it's ready. See the back? See how it's sheeting off? Right here? It's ready. So I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to move it over and let it sit for a second so I can skim the foam off. Alright, there's not a ton of foam on this, but I am going to get the little bit out of here. So I just take a clean spoon and take the edge right here, and I just run it along where the foam is and just get it off, okay? Get it out of your pot. Personal preference. I don't like it in there. There wasn't a ton. I usually have a ton in there, so the butter's not necessary. So I'm going to let this sit for a second, get all of my stuff out to get ready to can, and put my hot water in here so that these can get ready. Remember, when you get your jars out, always tip it over. Make sure you got a good grip on it. I'm going to put probably all of them over here because there's not much in this pot, and get them ready to fill. Alright, it's settled down. Get my ladle, move these close. Ooh, they're hot. Alright, you can see it's mostly the peels and stuff, and you're going to dump it in, and you're going to do it to 1/4 of an inch headspace. Okay? I'm going to stop about right there and go to the next one and see how many I can fill. And just keep going until they're filled. I'm going to stop at 4 jars because I need to make sure I have enough to fill these to the correct headspace before I do this jar. See if I have enough. Alright, I had enough. This one is not at the headspace, but I'm going to process it anyways, and this is going to be the first one I use. The rest of these are at the correct headspace, and they're very beautiful. Beautiful marmalade. And what you need to do now is, once you have them all at the correct headspace, dip your rag in the vinegar and water solution, and you need to wipe all of the tops because this is very sticky. It's definitely at the gelling point. It was starting to harden as I was putting it in the jars. And I'm going to wipe all the rims and then put on the bands and lids. My lids are clean. I cleaned all the rims. Make sure you double check them to make sure they're not goopy. You don't want these to have any leftover sugar on them. And I'll use that one first. But remember, when you put your lid and then your band, ooh, that's hot. When you start to show resistance, stop. You don't wrench it down, you'll buckle your lids. Same thing, shows resistance. Do that to all the lids. And then put it in the water bath canner, and they are going to go in there for 20 minutes. I got the jars inside. I kept the other one out. I'll just let it cool down and start eating it today. Make sure it's good. Test it out. But I have the 4 in here. Make sure you have at least an inch of water over the top of your jars. Put on the lid. Bring it up to boiling. See the rolling boil? 20 minutes. This 20 minutes is up. Turn it off. Move it off the heat. Let it sit for 5 more minutes. Remember, when you're taking out the marmalade, don't tip it. All this water on top will evaporate off. And then wherever you put it, leave it there for the next 24 hours. I'll probably just check it in the morning. Here is the marmalade on a piece of toast. It definitely got to the gelling point. It was a little thick, so I probably would reduce it to about 15 minutes instead of 20 when you're cooking it. But I mean, it's still great. It was really, really thick, and it tastes great. It tastes not really sweet. It has some sweetness to it, but it's very tangy, which I love. And so does my daughter, so this is going to be a great marmalade to eat. And here are the jars, and I'm going to take the bands off all these, wipe them down. Make sure I get all of the stuff off the jars, and then check the seals. Make sure you get all around the jar and the rim, just to make sure there's nothing sticky on your jar, because that can happen. And then check the seals. You can see how it's sucked in. Pull on the lid some. If you canned it right, it shouldn't come off, okay? Alright guys, that's the end of the marmalade video. Now, most people, you'll find a lot of recipes online about soaking the peels and stuff overnight, and that's just to draw more pectin and stuff out of the peels, but the Calamondin ones that I had did not need to be soaked. It set up like almost a rock. So remember to reduce the time if you're going to do the Calamondin oranges. If not, regular oranges would be different. I just have a tree that had them on it, and it's not very common, but you don't have to soak the peels for this specific type of orange. It has plenty of pectin in it, trust me. Reduce the 20 minutes to 15. And remember, if you are a home grower like me in a different region that's out of the norm, citrus, a lot of people wonder why their citrus fruit is done in the fall or winter, and that's because that's when it's actually done. In most places, my neighbor, a sweet man, he used to live in Florida, he told me it was done about this time everywhere. when they harvest it. So I always thought my plants were off, but they're not off. But if you do grow citrus, it is rewarding to have your own stuff where you grew it, you know what's on it, you appreciate it more. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are able, or if you have a calamondin tree and you have fruit on it, try it. The recipe is delicious. I had it on toast again. It's really good. Peanut butter and jelly would be great. It's phenomenal, trust me. It's not too sweet, and it does have tang to it. So I'll see. And I know I've been missing lately a lot, but winter really is my downtime. I spend time with my family, and we're not just running around busy all the time. But I will start putting more videos out. I have a bread making video coming up because I know that a lot of people would like to learn to make their own bread. So that will be coming up, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys next time.